Hello friends, I am Aryan Guru working as Assistant Professor in Registered Technology, College of Engineering. Today we are going to see levels of planning, zoning and zoning methods. So this slide refers to aims and objective of town planning. It includes to create and promote healthy conditions and environment for all the people, and to make right use of land for right purpose by zoning, to ensure orderly development, to avoid encroachment of one zone over the other. This is required in order to maintain the health of the citizens. Whereas convenience, social, economic, cultural and recreational amenities etc. are provided or to be located which are convenient for the citizens of town. Also recreational amenities, open space, parks, gardens and playgrounds, town halls, stadiums, community centers, cinema houses and theatres. They should be located at a convenient place so that the people or the citizens of the town can meet and enjoy the activities thereon. Then to preserve the individuality of the town, to preserve aesthetics in the design of all elements of town or city plan, the town planning is necessary. The stages of town planning includes the towns made up of basic village, service towns, rural town and town. Basic village is a village having population ranging from 400 to 500 souls, and the primary occupation is agriculture, and we are supposed to provide the facilities such as primary school, open well, murum roads, mobile dispensary etc. for the basic village. Whereas for the service towns, the necessary population is ranging from 2,000 to 3,000 souls, where cultural, commercial and administrative spaces are to be provided. Even secondary school, tube wells, murum roads, mobile dispensary, community halls etc. and it should be provided for 10 to 15 basic villages. Then rural town, it should have a population of 5,000 to 7,000 souls, and the primary occupation may be small scale industries over and above the agricultural employment. Then rural town should provide colleges, pipe water supply, macadam roads, health centers, community hall etc. and it should have a group of 24 to 30 basic villages. Then town, last level of settlement of population city is having a population range in between 50,000 to 1 lakh, and great city having a population more than 1 lakh, whereas super city having population more than 3 lakhs, and metropolis having population more than 1 crore and above, and megalopolis having population more than 5 crores and above. Then levels of planning. To maintain the continuity in the planning process, following levels of planning are considered. First is local planning, second is country planning, third is regional planning, fourth is national planning, and fifth is international planning. So in this slide we are going to see the local planning. It is a planning based on creation of healthful living and working environment for the majority of the inhabitants of the town, with due consideration to the physical background, economic limitations, public administration, finance and change in technology. The development plan for city or town aims at proper distribution of population densities, regulation of green belts, suitable division of the area in various zones of the area in various zones etc. The country planning aims at controlled development of area surrounding a town. A town is surrounded by villages and rural planning becomes necessary for the proper functioning of town. For this, surrounding villages should be linked up with suitable transport facility. Encouragement should be given for the growth of small scale industries such as dairy, poultry, farming, basket and rope making, handlooms etc. Planning aims to achieve proper balance between agriculture and industry. This slide refers to regional planning. It helps in controlling and reshaping major towns in the region. Term region is used to define as an areas separated not merely or exclusively by natural boundaries but equally by political or administrative boundaries. Four methods of determining a region is advocated according to geographic boundaries, economic consideration, administrative convenience, and metropolitan influence. Then regional planning. It avoids the wasteful duplication of facilities. It ensures the most profitable utilization of the resources at minimum expenses for the maximum benefit. In the regional planning provides information regarding the economic functions. It grants mutual control over the areas in the region. Also, planned and harmonious development is occurred. Regional planning involves regional dimension. It reveals new town planning and building principles, and it serves as link of cooperation and coordination between the areas of region. The country planning cannot be divorced from the town and regional planning because the town and country are not two separate entities but are complementary to each other. Then national planning. National planning involves careful study of social, education, economic, industrial and other problems facing the country and suggest measures to be adopted to obtain a realistic solution thereto. It accounts for country's existing and potential resources in main materials, power, manufacturing industry, etc. and draw out a phased program of action for achieving the target set in the various spheres of activity. Whole country is considered as a single unit and an overall picture of development is kept in view while striving to strike a balance between the various states. In India, the various 5-year plans are an example of national planning. The vision for national planning is development of nation in terms of its administrative or political system. Secondly, development of various economic sectors such as agriculture, fishing, mining, quarrying, etc. Thirdly, development in terms of social sector such as clothing, housing, food, education, health, employment, recreation, etc. Similarly, development at various levels, that is international level to local level or vice versa. Then urban land use map color codes. So these are the different zones and different colors which are to be adopted while preparing the map of a city, showing residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, parks, playgrounds, infrastructure utilities, built-up areas, agriculture, agro-industrial, forest, mining, grassland, swamplands, cemeteries and landfill. All these color codes are shown in the land use planning as shown in the figure. The land use planning refers to rational and judicious approach of allocating available land resources to different land using activities and for different functions consistent with the overall development in order to fulfill the vision of a particular city. Also, it refers to a document embodying a set of policies accompanied by maps and similar illustrations which represent the community desired pattern of population distribution and proposal for the future allocation of land to the various land using activities. It refers to the manner of utilization of land including its allocation, development and management. And the objectives are to promote efficient utilization, acquisition and disposition of land, ensure the highest and best use of land, to direct, harmonize and influence discussion and activities of the private and public sectors relative to the use and management of lands, to reconcile land use conflicts and proposals between and among individuals, private and government entities relative to the present and future need for the land. Also, to promote desirable pattern of land uses to prevent wasteful development and minimize the cost of public infrastructure and utilities and other social services. Also, to preserve areas of ecological, aesthetical, historical and cultural significance. Zoning is defined as the creation by law of the sections or zones such as residential, industrial, commercial, civic, institutional and recreational in which The regulations prevent misuse of lands and buildings and limit their height and densities of population differing in different zones. So in this slide we are going to see the importance of zoning, that is advantages of zoning. Zoning sets apart different areas in the town for specific purposes. It prevents encroachment of one zone upon another adjacent to it. Business or commercial areas are also separated with their garages and service station at a distance from the residential area. The population is distributed throughout the town by zoning regulation so that there is no concentration of population in any one particular zone. Height zoning regulates the height of building, hence high-rise building will not be allowed to construct near small houses. Further, a land in the form of recreational area is also set aside for parks, playgrounds, stadiums, theatres, etc. Zoning helps proper coordination of various public amenities like water supply, drainage, electricity, transport, etc. Zoning secures orderly growth of town, promotes health, safety and order. It increases utility, beauty, efficiency of the town. It enhances chances of fire and consequent damages are almost eliminated. Then the object of zoning, it also requires consideration of future growth and development, adequacy of drainage and storm sewers, public streets, pedestrian walkways, density of population and many other factors that are within legislative competence. Zoning helps city planners bring about orderly growth and change. It controls population density and help to create attractive, healthful residential area. In addition, zoning helps to assure property owners and residents that the characteristics of nearby areas will remain stable. Also, zoning serves as a main tool to the town planner to maintain future growth of the town as it was envisaged originally. Zoning affords proper coordination of various public amenities. Zoning makes town planning schemes effective and successful. So, zoning is a land use planning practice which focuses on dividing a local authority's area into different parts where some uses are permitted while others are forbidden by rights. Then there are different types of zoning. One is functional zoning, then form-based zoning, intensity zoning and incentive zoning. In a functional zoning, a zone for each type of land use has been allocated. Similarly, land use zones subject to different regulations such as commercial, administrative, residential, industrial and green spaces. In case of form-based zoning, focuses on physical characteristics defined as a form of urban identity such as downtime, up-down, east side, historical district, manufacturing district. Then in case of intensity zoning, it sets land use intensity restriction, regularity in form of functions of land use development with high density, average density, low density and no development. Then incentive zoning, it includes rewards for development in defined areas inside the provision of amenities in the form of incentive and no incentives. So in this slide we are going to see the term zoning in planning sense include two aspects, that is allocation of land for specific purpose and control of use, height and construction of buildings. Zoning is defined as the regulation by law of the use of land and building and of the height and density of building in specific areas for the purpose of securing convenience, health, safety and general welfare of the community. So in this slide we are going to see zoning, land use planning, infrastructure services. First is zoning, regulation by law of land and or building and height and density of buildings in specific areas for the purpose of securing convenience, health, safety and general welfare of the community. Then the object of zoning, ample opportunity for setting future growth and development of city, proper coordination of various public amenities like transport, water supply, drainage and electricity. It is an effective tool in town planning schemes. Then types of zoning, it includes density zoning, height zoning and use zoning. Then we will see the land use planning. Regulating the use of land in efficient and ethical way is called land use planning. It encompasses two components. First is physical planning and second is environment. In the physical planning, architecture, landscape architecture, urban design, urban planning and urban renewal. These take care of selection of physical layout, scale of development, aesthetics, cost of ultimates, selection of materials, impacts on landscape and species. Then environment considers regional planning, spatial planning, sustainable development, transportation planning. These involve implication of development and planning, roadways, noise pollution, surface runoff and flooding assessment, etc. Then zoning applied for certain type of general use. Then in the zoning, reservation confined to the use of specific nature such as gardens, schools, market, police station, playground, etc. Then zoning regulation meant for the use of character, height and density, and they prescribe how parcel of land in a community may be put up to use. Then structural regulation impose restriction on the building materials and workmanship in the form of specifications. Zoning includes use of land for profit-making uses as well as non-profit making. Profit-making uses includes office, residences, industries, whereas non-profit making use of land includes roads, parks, playgrounds, educational buildings, government offices. They have to work hand to hand. Then the principle of zoning includes arrangement of zones, boundaries, existing towns, flexibility and new towns. The advantages of zoning are danger from fire, future development, general amenities, health of community, population distribution and public utility services. Then classification of zoning, that is use zoning. It includes residential zone, commercial zone, industrial zone, civic zone, institutional zone and recreational zone. Whereas height zoning includes cubical content of the building, width of street and other marginal open spaces of building are considered. Whereas in case of density zoning, gross density and net density is to be considered. In case of density zoning, the front, side and rear margins from the boundaries are specified. The maximum height of building is specified. The minimum size of allotment for each house is specified. The number of houses per unit area is specified. The ratio of total site area to the total built-up floor area is specified. Then gross density. The average density of population per unit area of whole residential zone is called gross density, whereas the average density of population per unit of housing area including local roads and excluding open spaces is called net density. In a broad sense, the density zoning is a measure of intensity of land use. It is expressed as the number of persons living on an acre or any other unit of land, which indicates the concentration of people living thereon. Then large number of people living per acre indicates overcrowding and also called as higher density and treated as evil, whereas lower densities are desirable. Then following are the density zoning types. They are net density, gross density and overall density and town density. Then height zoning, light plane, it is a check applied to the height of one building, does not obstruct ventilation of property on the other side of the road. A light plane is marked at a suitable angle from the edge of a road on either side and the height of building is suitably curtailed to allow the light plane to pass. The angle of light plane is 45 degree or 63.5 degree as shown in the figure. Then height zoning, in which we are going to consider the floor space index, that is FSI, or floor area ratio, that is FAR, the ratio of total built up area inclusive of walls of all floors to the area of land on which building stands is known as floor space index or floor area ratio. It may be different for different areas and for different buildings of the town. The floor area is the total building square footage divided by the size of plot. The height zoning considers the residential zone, commercial zone, industrial zone, recreational zone. The advantages of height zoning is best use of land for which it is reserved, establishment of land uses, and unnecessary intrusion of factories and industries in residential area is avoided. Then zoning by use. Residential zone 40 to 50% of area of town, most important. Ideal location, peace, distance, privacy, greenery, transportation. These are the considerations. Whereas for the commercial zone 2 to 5% area of town, ideal location is center of traffic, roadside. In the industrial zone should have percentage in between 5 to 20%, and the ideal location is leeward side depending on industry type. Then civic zone, it has what area ranging from 2 to 3% of town. It consists of public building. And institutional zone 1 to 2% of town, and you should have the schools, etc. Similarly, recreational zone has an area 15 to 20% of town. Then we will see the importance and benefit of zoning. Optimum use of land based on suitability, capability. Example, use of prime agricultural land for agriculture purpose. Secondly, promotion of public health and safety through compatible arrangement of various land uses. For example, residential area should maintain considerable distance from industry. Then preservation of desirable character and real estate values of the zone. Also, promotion of the rational and orderly growth of community to prevent encroachment, isolation of residential area, height control, reservation for recreational area, and effective use of amenities. So thank you friends.